Hey everybody, welcome to Late Horror Show!
Group!
Little late, but I had to eat my porridge before we got into the top 10 list or whatever.
You had some porridge, man?
Yeah, whatever.
Your curds and whey?
Hey Felix, hey Ben Grimm, I see you guys
What's up,
in
dudes?
the chat there. Everybody else, welcome. Let me turn this down, holy shit. Okay, there we go. Yeah, what's up, man? I got my glasses so I can see the chat.
All right.
Simple answer is 90s are the absolute worst.
Yeah.
Felix?
I managed to find something.
We're gonna get to it, man. Yeah, this was up your butt. Let's see, where'd I put that poop emoji? Yo. Hey, Eric, Ben, and Felix. Thanks for joining us.
We don't need anything else except these guys right here, man. That's all we need.
Yeah, there you go. But anyways, yeah, welcome, man. Me and Ted doing another thing. We got a kind of a cool, different idea for next week. But anyways, this was kind of tough, man.
Some of it was.
You know, I thought it was a great idea going best film for each decade from the silent era all the way up to the present. Yep. So it gives us, we're right now sitting at a top 10 for all of these decades.
And as I was doing it, I said, it's too hard to pick just one. I go, let's at least have like a runner-up. So now we're going to do two. So we got right.
You can do a runner-up. I think.
You didn't do it?
No, I did.
Okay.
But there's a couple I didn't, and
I can get that. I can get that.
You know,
'cause there was a decade or two that I didn't really give a toss about.
Yeah, Momo. What's up, everyone? Momo was in the chat. Hey, welcome. Yeah, get a little closer to the mic here.
Checking the mic. Checking the mic.
Hey, before we get started on our list, give some people time to get in here, and, you know, because the much anticipated, you know, decade of horror list by me and Ted.
This is.
I just saw in the news today. There's been talk about it, but Blumhouse is starting to put together The Invisible Man, and I guess they gave it a release date of 2021. But anyway,
Johnny Depp doing
no.
Didn't I hear about that
Lee,
at one time? Is this supposed to be part of the new monster universe, or is this separate?
That tanked.
Yeah, it did.
They blew it, and Blumhouse, who does all these, you know, smaller horror films, but like Get Out and, you know, that kind of
they're solid.
Lee Whannell is gonna do which should be good. But I'm anticipating The Invisible Man for,
if they
release.
stick to the source material of H.G. Wells, you really can't go wrong. As soon as you start messing with it,
shouldn't go wrong. But
as soon as you start messing with it, that's when it starts to suck.
Yeah.
H.G. Wells knew what the hell he was doing.
But if you're listening to us on iTunes, we do this live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. roughly on our YouTube channel, The Late Horror Show. And also on iTunes, if you go ahead and give us a rating and feedback on there, that would be good and helpful too for us. Numbers are climbing on iTunes, so that's kind of actually pretty cool. But now that we're going back to longer formats, kind of, people, you know, the numbers kind of pick back up and stuff like that. Again. So so
we just can't shut up.
We're gonna start this. Hey, and I got a little. Can you hand that to me?
Yeah.
I can't reach over the mic, otherwise.
I moved it.
Got a little gift in the mail today. Felix, you might like this. 101 sci-fi movies. It's the same things you got to see before you die. It's similar to the Big Book, but it's a smaller version, a mini book.
Good for sitting on the can.
And
I love a good book.
Me and CP will be doing something with this. The horror one's coming too, but this was a pleasant surprise today.
Oh, if you're gonna talk science fiction, man, I'm in that ass.
Oh, hell yeah! Okay, yeah.
You just let me know.
Get you over here, man. But yeah, we'll just jump right in, and you guys jump into, if you guys have a favorite movie.
Yeah,
of
throw
the
yours
decade,
in along with ours.
Yeah, pop it in there. Let us know. I'd be interested to see what you guys think is, you know.
Or totally rip on our choices.
Yeah. So I did post this late, so who knows how many people will pop in.
Hey, man, people who know where to be Tuesday nights. Yeah. Where else you got to be?
Ben Grimm.
Ain't nothing else going on.
1990s had Candyman. Yeah.
I just watched that not too long ago. It wasn't bad. I remember, and I think I had only seen it when it came out in the theaters. I took a girlfriend to go see it, and she didn't want to go so bad. And
really,
I mean, that's the best when you take a chick to a horror movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always the best.
Taking a chick, yeah.
You know,
you always,
at the old Parma Theater. Remember the
you always had your
Parma
popcorn
Theater?
bucket with a hole in the bottom.
Oh yeah,
Ted.
I thought it was a Snickers bar.
There's a Snickers bar in there. It's all
But
melty.
you remember that
Oh,
theater, the Parma Theater, all dank
yeah.
and musty, and a real
I
theater.
wanted to take that old theater and turn it into like
we talked
my
about
theater,
that,
you know,
and just show old movies. It probably
old
would've-
movies.
It would have failed.
Yeah.
But I love.
Hey, as long as we paid the rent, that's
Yep.
all.
I guess.
But yeah, let's start. Let's start with and I think I'll let you go first this time. We're gonna go.
Alright.
We're gonna start silent era.
The 1920s, the beginning of film.
Yes, our favorite
We
picks
probably have
each.
the same too.
Well, who knows? And then we're going to go 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and then 2000s, 2010s. So that's kind of how we're going to do this
All
right now.
Which gives
And-
us 10. But we're going to do I did my number one pick and then my runner up.
Yeah.
All right.
Nightbreed is such a gem. Pet Cemetery. The Hellraiser and the Thing
wanna
tied for
be
first, says
buried
Farley's Nerd Cave.
in
Hey,
Pet
Farley, what's going on, man? Haven't seen you in here
Cemetery.
before, but welcome to the channel, the Late Late Horror Show. Yeah, no, you guys are throwing stuff out right now. Let's keep the talk to the silent era.
And then that's exactly what you're going to get in the chat. Crickets.
Silent? No. So, these people know some
Dude,
horror
I
from
think we're the only
silent,
two
but-
people in our age group that watch these movies.
Meh. I
All
don't
right.
know.
Well,
but
I
what do
think-
you got?
Now, maybe people don't realize it or not, but
Yeah.
in the beginning of film, there were tons of horror films.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of them are shorter films. You know, Thomas Edison's company did the first Frankenstein. You know, there was a Jekyll and Hyde with one of the Barrymores. I think John Barrymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is Faust.
Even a Dracula.
Even before
prior, but- yeah,
Nosferatu. Yes. You know, Nosferatu certainly isn't the first vampire film. So as long as people have been able to crank that handle and make movies, there have been horror movies.
Yeah, and it's a shame that, like,
A lot of them are gone.
yeah, 80% of those films during
Even
that
like
era
a classic
are
one with
just
Lon Chaney, that
gone.
one you see all the time, that London after midnight, you know, with the jagged teeth, all that's gone. It's
I know.
gone.
sucks.
You know, if we could find it, it'd be a great movie. But I think when you think silent films and horror, the first face you see is that guy right there.
Phantom of the
Lon
Opera.
Chaney, Phantom of the Opera. So that's what I put as my number one pick because it's so iconic.
Okay.
Not just because it's Lon Chaney, but I think it just encapsulates silent horror films.
It's up there, yeah. I mean, for the
When you
era,
think about it,
when
it's
you
one
think
of the
about
first things
silent,
you think about.
Silent horror films, yeah.
And then should I do my runner-up after that too?
Sure, yeah.
All right, and then, of course, that was 1925, Phantom of the Opera. And then I picked Nosferatu as my runner-up because even though I think it's a better movie,
Yeah.
I just, you know, it may not be as iconic as that face. Even people who don't watch silent movies, they know what the hell that is.
Oh, yeah. Well, for
but-
me, Nosferatu too. But I think in the overall, culture, this face, is
Right.
up there. So yeah, no, I get you. Yeah.
Right.
So
And I
those are
picked-
your two picks.
And Nosferatu 1922 is my runner-up
Okay.
as the best horror films of the 1920s.
Okay. Momo says crickets. Yes.
I knew it.
Felix says Nosferatu or the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
That's another one you could have picked too. That's really, really cool.
Eobard Thon, Nosferatu, and the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari are my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, welcome, man. Eobard, haven't seen you in the chat before either. A couple people here new, I think.
And those are both
welcome.
German films, and they had a very big influence on the early Universal films because a lot of those cameramen came over and shot those
Try
films.
not to look at my sheet
I'm
here,
not going
but
to.
you know.
I can't read your chicken scratch.
You, and it's funny because we are going to have some differing tastes as always because things that I like, you know, he might not put. You might be a little shocked at mine.
Well,
but,
what'd you pick?
But my number one pick is The Cat and the Canary.
Oh, yeah.
1927.
I've got that. That's a good movie.
I also like the remake that they did in the
That was Bob Hope, wasn't it?
with
Bob
Bob
Hope?
Hope in the late 30s. The Cat and Canary, that was also a good one. But this one, you know, it's your typical, and this is why I like it so much. It's your typical millionaire brings people to a gigantic mansion, haunted house type things.
Where did we see that later on?
Right. Yeah, the old dark house. And that. Yeah. But and there's always mystery, especially throughout the 30s is where we really kick up the horror mystery kind of films, which I really dug. I mean, that's up my alley. That's
what was that one we did a commentary on? Was it the Bat or what was that one?
The Bat, yeah.
Was it called The Bat?
Yeah, the dude where he almost
inspired
by the Bat,
and the
inspired the Batman character, right? That's
the
one
like
you're talking
the
about.
really neat model work in there.
Yep,
I remember that was a good movie. I hadn't seen it since then. That was a good movie.
Damn good movie, yeah. But the Cat and the Canary, I love the mood and the atmosphere to that flick.
That's a good movie.
It's a very good movie. If you guys haven't seen it, again, don't disregard the silent films, even though there's no speech per se.
Don't watch them late at night. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
when you're tired,
because you got to pay attention to what's going on, and you can fall off.
But some of them do benefit from the darkness there. But
yeah. And my runner-up would be, of course, Nosferatu 1922. So
I knew.
I mean, Conor,
Cat and the Canary. Yeah, that's a good pick.
But yeah, that's there's that silent era all the way to the 30s. That kind of if you put horror aside, mystery is my thing, and film noir, which takes you more into the 50s. Just love that, man, love that. And when they put the mystery in a haunted mansion, it just adds to the effect of the movie, and I love it, man.
That's why you're such a big fan of Scooby-Doo.
Exactly. Let me real quick. Deranged Lunatic. I really like the original, The Thing. I'm a big time fan of 1950 sci-fi and horror films. Same here, man. We've talked about this many times.
Those big monsters.
I'm not sure Ted is as much as I
just don't like the technobabble that they all seem to have.
That's what I love about the old 1950 sci-fi. The scientists came out. It was a dawn of an era when science in real life, they were hitting on, these magnificent, epic journeys and reaching out to space.
It was a boom time.
Yeah, so they would explain things which ended up not being correct most of the time.
That's why I can't watch Next Generation Star Trek episodes. It's just,
if we go this distance to the moon, we will be in the vicinity of Mars within 2 days. And I mean, it's totally out there.
I got news. It's going to take you more than 2 days.
But I love it, man. I love it.
Some of them are cool. There's some good ones, without a doubt. There's some good ones.
And Eobard Thawne, not technically horror, but The Man Who Laughs is great.
Yes, that's another launching.
With Gwynplaine, who they based the Joker on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that's actually got a Blu-ray coming out. It's been restored and everything. That's going to be coming out again. Dropping nice.
Cool.
Nice copy of that.
Cool. And Wyatt Isai is here. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining us. And Ben Grimm says Haxan.
That's the
good one.
Witchcraft Through the Ages. I've seen that. There is some. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that video I made at your guys' Halloween party? And I made that video with clips and stuff. Yeah. I had clips from that movie in there, like of the old ladies like kissing the devil's butt and stuff.
Yeah, years and years ago, me and
everyone's saying, "What is this?"
Me and Ted, being a horror fan, I'm like, yeah, let's get all our friends and people together and have a Halloween, kind of party.
Yeah.
And rented a hall over here where we lived, and Ted put together kind of a Halloween VCR. We put in VCR
I did the 2 VCRs. I had to take clips and record it and play it.
It was a whole production, man.
Remember, I had
so changed, but that was
played
fun.
The clip of Reagan throwing up on Damien Karras from The Exorcist about 8 times
over and over. I loved it, man. I wonder do you still got that somewhere?
I don't know.
Probably not.
You never know. I don't throw much away when it comes to stuff like that, so yeah, I might have it.
But okay, let's move on to the 1930s.
Things start getting a little better now.
What was wrong with the silent
Nothing, but things start getting a little better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we kind of get
at least
good, dropped down a bit, a little better, but then a little better in the 80s, and then we slowly start to die off.
Yeah,
but,
it's a steady decline.
Whatever. But 90-30s. What,
1930s.
Did I say 90-30s?
You said 90-30s.
90-30s. We're going way in the future here.
I listen to what you mean, not what you said.
Okay, so your pick for 1930s.
Both of my picks are from 1932. Okay. My number one, our very first podcast, Island of Lost Souls.
I thought you would go there.
Because that's one of the first adaptations of H.G. Wells, Island of Dr. Moreau. Some real twisted shit in that movie. You just have to see it. Wish
we had a better copy of that film, but it's still...
I've got the Criterion Blu-ray, and that's about as good as we can get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an old movie. It's pre-code. It's got Bela Lugosi playing the lawgiver. The House of Pain, where Dr. Moreau takes animals and genetically mutates them and, does surgery and to turn them into humans, ultimately.
Human. You are a human.
But just... I think it's...
And who's the chicken there? The really cute
I forgot her
cat,
name. But she was the Panther.
Yeah, the Panther girl in there.
And just...
very good on the eyes.
For a movie that age, at the dawn of talkies, there's just a lot of twisted stuff in that movie.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And Charles Laughton just eats it up. He's Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
And then my runner-up, probably one of the most unique movies... ever was Freaks.
That's your runner-up,
That's my runner-up.
Yeah, Ben Grimm throws Freaks in here. Because
there's never been, even since, there's never been a film like that.
Frankenstein or King Kong? You did not put King Kong.
Well, because every time I do, some jackass tells me it's not a horror movie. So I didn't do it.
Okay.
Every time I mention King Kong,
I know King Kong's Ted's favorite.
In the same breath as a horror movie, someone will inevitably say it's not a horror movie.
Oh, please. It's got a giant monster in it.
Well, then take it all back.
King Kong is your number one.
But,
oh, boy. Sorry. He's still got his tickle.
No, I just got to clear my throat.
Let
me clear my throat.
Yeah.
I tried to stick clearly with what everyone would accept as horror films. So
my number one is The Freaks.
Oh, yeah.
1932.
And we have it's probably the one podcast we did. I think we're the most proud of that one.
Yeah, lots of information, lots of detail.
The podcast is longer than the movie.
Right.
The commentary is longer than the movie.
Yeah, if you haven't seen our commentary on Freaks, we're very jokey and funny in most of our stuff, but we took that serious.
I think I told you something about every single person in that movie.
Yeah, trying to get everybody to understand, what Freaks was about, what Todd Browning was trying to do.
And who these special people were.
Yeah.
What they had been before. What
because
happened
people
to them later.
cringe. And the people, they did not like that they did this back then. But
people thought it was exploitive. And maybe it kind of was. But... Yeah. It made for a great hour of entertainment because it's only a little over an hour. There's been stuff cut out of it that I wish would be found.
I would love
the moment that
footage. Yeah.
There's a few movies where I wish they would find some footage that was lost.
Right,
Freaks is so unique, and you got to see it. Can't call yourself a horror fan if you don't see Freaks.
Right, Eobard Thawne says love pretty much all the classics from the 1930s, but. Yeah. I go Dracula and The Invisible Man. Okay, well.
I got no quarrel with either of those. They're both great movies.
And again, this is why this is so tough.
Yeah.
Because
I like all those too.
We're big Universal horror fans, and, there's movies that slightly made it above those ones, Mm-hmm. So it's like it's very tough to just narrow down one movie in a whole decade.
Right. Like, I think Island of Lost Souls is a harder core horror movie than any of the Universal monster movies.
Yeah.
Just because what it deals with and how it deals with it.
Oh yeah.
And Freaks
all the
is just so
man, and it's
Freaks just because where else in the world would you see all of these so strange people, in
Freaks.
one place?
Yeah.
And they're just so unique. I had to pick them.
In the movie, I mean, of course you'll never see a movie like it again. So it's part of our history. It's out there, and it's just Yeah, I mean, read the backstory on Freaks.
It was banned in plenty of places.
Yeah.
It was like Cannibal Holocaust of the 1930s.
Yeah. And my runner-up is The Old Dark House, 1932.
We love that movie. That movie is so good.
I love that movie.
I love Boris Karloff, and it doesn't say a line of dialogue. He's just drunk.
He's like a Frankenstein with no makeup on. You know?
Morgan's been at the bottle again.
He's drunk. But, you know, I loved everybody coming in from the rain, sitting at the, the bridges out, the water. No beds.
Can't have no beds.
She didn't want nobody coming there today. And our commentary that we did on this show is iconic for... Ted had to get up in the middle because something happened.
I had the Hershey squirts in the middle. Like, ooh.
I'm looking over at him while we're doing a commentary, and he's like going...
Can you pause this?
I'm like, oh, we're live, man. What you talking about? Okay, so real quick, Felix Raiders AK in the chat says Ted needs to be a man and stick to his guns. Pick King Kong. F the haters. Lots of laugh. Yeah.
Well, then I would.
Is there a good Blu-ray release of Freaks? Says Eobard.
No. I think you can still get the Warner Brothers DVD, but it has not been released on Blu-ray. Yeah. There's a rumor that Criterion got it, and they'll put it out, but it needs some work.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, because if there was, dude, I'd have it.
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, that's definitely one that would be,
I was actually able to buy that DVD at Best Buy back in the day. Yeah. Best Buy used to have rows and rows of movies. You could spend hours there.
Yeah.
Seems like the day it came out.
So, let's move on to the decade of
the 40s.
The 40s, the 1940s. And your number one pick is...
The Wolfman. I love me the Wolfman.
Well, let's talk about the Wolfman, because my number one pick is the Wolfman.
All right!
So, we both chose a Universal.
And
so
it's a really damn good Universal movie.
Hell yeah.
The makeup was great. The way that he kind of walked on his tiptoes to make it sort of look like a dog.
The relationships between all the characters.
The transformation scene. Perfect. The old gypsy woman and Bela playing Bela. And, the pentagram on the hand and all. Yeah. I mean, it's fantastic. And then you wonder when the sequels happen, how the hell are they going to bring the Wolfman back to life? He's dead. But,
they do it.
They made it make sense.
Exactly. Yeah. No, the sequels, because the stories went, and there were 4 films, and the Abbott and Costello one meets Frankenstein and various, but I that movie again, 1940s black and white. I love it. Everything about it.
It's misty moors, the fog, and the
love forest, the misty moors. Yeah.
That's everything I love in a movie right there. Just the foggy forest and the Wolfman skulking about looking for a beautiful woman to attack.
Yeah, which is why I also like The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is a Sherlock Holmes film, but there's something out there, in the moors attacking people.
Never go on the moors. Wherever you live, if there's moors, stay off them.
Yeah, s'mores, that's a different reason.
S'mores.
Yeah. So what's your runner-up?
I don't know if you've ever seen this movie, and I only picked it because of the damn actor that's in it.
Yeah.
But it's called, it's from 1946, House of Horrors. This has got Rondo Hatton in it. Google him. Rondo. All right? And this is the guy, I've told you before, with the really long face. He actually had a disease where his bones kept growing even past adulthood, and it made his facial features very unique. If you've ever seen Disney's The Rocketeer, another movie I love, there's that one character, the baddie, the heavy guy that's, they made him look just like Rondo. And even they even have the Rondo Awards. It's an award given to like the best horror movie magazine. It's called the Rondo Awards.
He also played in Sherlock Holmes and the Spider's Claw.
Yeah. Such a unique face, perfect for this period of horror films. And what this movie's about, I don't even know if you can easily find it on DVD. I know it's out there.
John Kyle Stanton. Ted's middle name is Rondo.
Rondo! And
what's up, John?
Rondo. The Amazing Rondo.
Ted's got your favorite shirt on there, John.
Yeah, my one I wear to Great Wolf Lodge, and it smells like chlorine, even though I've washed it many times.
Oh, man. But yeah.
But what this film's about is about a struggling artist. Mm-hmm. He happens to help the Rondo character.
Yeah.
When he's out on the street, whatever. I forget a little bit what happens. But it's kind of like, the mouse that pulled the paw out of the lion.
Right.
Pulled the thorn out of the lion's paw. And so because he does this, then Rondo is going to help this artist guy, kill all the people that are causing him misery and trouble in his life. So
yeah.
It's, that's about as horror as it gets, but damn if that guy's not spooky looking.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I remember also from Sherlock Holmes, because I'm a big fan of the old Basil Rathbone Sherlock Holmes. I know. Old man
Probably
movies,
could have picked a different movie, but his face is just so unique.
Right.
I wanted to draw some people's attention to it.
Let's see. Eric Griffin says The Old Dark House from 1963 is great too. More of a comedy.
That's actually a William Castle Hammer co-production.
Felix Raiders AK says just donated $4.99. Thank you, Felix. Super chat. For you to get a new T-shirt.
Oh man. Thanks.
Oh, Felix, man.
I'll go see what Walmart's got on the shelf now.
Felix cracks me up, man. He's a character. I love the guy. Let's see. Felix says Wolfman would be my pick too. Yeah, all three of us. Wolfman is so great. That atmosphere is awesome. Mm-hmm. Universal monsters are gold standard of horror. Agree totally. Okay, I said I really enjoy Body Snatchers from 1945. John
Boris Karloff, that's another good one.
John Kyle Stanton added $4.99 super chat. Thank you, John.
Thanks, man. I can get 2 shirts.
He's with Felix on the whole get a new T-shirt thing.
Thank you.
They're joking, but thank you guys.
I do need clothes.
We need clothes bad, but thank you very much, John Kyle Stanton. I appreciate it. Shout out to all my Patreons. I didn't put the banner up at the beginning of the show, but I appreciate all you guys.
Thank you.
And everybody who shows up every week during our live shows. I really appreciate it. So Wyatt says I really enjoyed the Body Snatchers 1945. I just said that.
That's got a Blu-ray coming out if it's not out already. That's one of the Val Lewton produced horror films. Really good.
A guy we really put on a pedestal.
Boris Karloff's a resurrectionist.
Yeah.
Bringing all the, and those are always good movies, bringing the bodies to
I didn't say
the doctors.
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here's a body.
Oh, yeah, what was your runner-up?
My runner-up was, for 1940, is The Lodger, 1944.
Is that Hitchcock? Is that The Lodger? What am I
that one isn't.
Oh, okay.
There's an earlier one in the, I do believe it's the late 20s.
That's called
the
The Lodger?
Alfred Hitchcock one, yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know the years.
This one's about, a new tenant or lodger, who they start thinking is Jack the Ripper.
No kidding.
And
I never saw this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Who's in it? Anybody?
I'd have to go back and look again. But the atmosphere is great. The subject matter is great. I mean, just if you're into Jack the Ripper and everything about that lore, this is a really cool movie. On top of it just being, the mood and the atmosphere of the movie itself. Throw in Jack the Ripper, black and white, great characters. Love that movie. I was this close to putting it at number 1, but I'm like going, there's no way I could put it ahead of the Wolfman.
You got me a movie I gotta
So
watch.
there you go.
Damn.
So, which takes us to the 50s.
The 50s.
Where Chubby Checker's doing the twist. Although that was the 60s, wasn't it?
No.
Was it the 50s?
I wasn't really around.
Blueberry Hill?
50s, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Definitely 50s.
But
because Richie would sing it in Happy Days.
Right. Yeah. That's right. So let's see. Well, let me catch up real quick. Yes, The Lodger is a good movie. Felix says. Eobard Thawne says, I love that name. Invisible Man Returns is great with Vincent Price.
It is.
Yeah. Again, there were so many Universal movies and like Frankenstein had some movies in there.
Well, some of the Invisible Man ones don't even count as horror. I think there's like the Invisible Agent going after the Nazis and stuff.
Yeah.
So some of that
somewhat of an action adventure type. Yeah. But all of the Universals had continued through the 40s with, Dracula,
the Dracula,
continuation
Frankenstein,
and stuff like
and
that.
Wolfman. Like I said, if you watch all those movies in order, it's like watching one big movie. Those 3 franchises.
Vince Malley, how would you describe the current horror decade? Vince, if you stick around, Ted said it, but if you stick around, we're working our way all the way up to the current era, the 2010s.
I don't mean to be so hard on it, though. When we get to it, we'll talk. Yeah,
we'll talk about it.
I guess it's just what you like. Some people like blood and guts. Some people like
anything with Vincent Price is good.
Vincent Price. Some people like Ingrid Pitt with a negligee walking through a cemetery at midnight. I mean, it just depends on what you dig, and I know what I dig. I know what side bread my butters.
But again, welcome to the chat. First I saw your seen you in the chat here, so welcome aboard the Late Horror Show. 1950s, Ted. What is your first movie?
Guess.
God. It's I know it's a Hammer.
Curse of Frankenstein.
Curse of Frankenstein. So
and it may not be the greatest movie of all time. Well, I love it. I'm not even going to put it down. I think it's fantastic. But it was the first Hammer horror film that rejuvenated the monsters. Universal had kind of let their monsters lapse.
Right.
And I can't remember when House of Dracula came out. That was the last one, I think. Well, I mean, there was Creature from the Black Lagoon in the 50s.
Right.
But, as far as their classic monsters, Dracula, Mummy, Frankenstein, from like 1945 on, there wasn't really anything.
Well, Creature from Black Lagoon.
Right, except for that. But as far as those monsters.
But I get you, yeah.
They started showing them on TV already. Yeah. So, Hammer got a hold of they couldn't use the makeup, but they could do their stories. And so Curse of Frankenstein is the first one of, then they did Dracula and the Mummy and Curse of the Werewolf and so on and so forth and became their own thing. But not only, I think, is it a great movie, Christopher Lee's makeup is fantastic, and I love Peter Cushing. It rejuvenated the monsters, and it started, what would become Hammer horror and develop its own cult following and fans, and it's still some of my favorite stuff now, and that's where I kind of go to. That's the stuff that I like.
Oh yeah,
as far as horror films, that's the kind of stuff I really like. Vincent Price, Universal.
You like that gothic Hammer horror?
Gothic is my number one thing as far as like a horror film. I like gothic.
Yeah.
I like monsters, and they're usually has to be some element of the supernatural to it. I don't dig, people just killing people.
No, I don't, torture porn. Yeah,
or just movies where you're watching it just to see how people get killed.
Right.
I don't really.
And we'll get to that in a more modern.
I like some kind of supernatural element.
John Kyle Stanton, I would say the current horror is going okay. Bronco Juggalo talks movies. What's up, man?
What's up?
He says, "Hey Dino, hey Ted." John Kyle Stanton, Hammer is so awesome. Does anyone have the collection on DVD or Blu-ray?
What is that?
Of Hammer horror.
Well, I mean,
I don't think all of them are out there on Blu-ray.
But now is a good time because a lot of stuff is coming out. Whereas in the last year, I imported a lot from England. A lot of those are starting to come out now.
Yeah.
The trouble with Hammer, if you're interested, is that they are spread out amongst so many different studios. Warner Brothers has some. Universal has some. Various other studios, Paramount has like a couple. But some of the boutique labels like Scream Factory and Arrow, I don't know about Arrow, but I know Scream Factory here in the States, Shout Factory, Scream Factory.
Right.
They've scooped up the rights to a lot of them. And Warner Brothers has been putting out some, but they put it out on their archive label, which you kind of have to order like off Amazon or direct from Warner Brothers. You're not going to find those in any shop.
Right.
But, just do a search. You can Google Hammer Horror, find out the movies, and you can always, shoot us a message, and I can tell you the best ones to start with. But
if you're interested, always send us a message, Ted. You can always shoot a message on comments
in the
below.
Comment section.
Comments below.
I'm not a Facebook guy, but
Ted usually hits the comments
if there's something
within a day after they're, because I've been getting a lot of like old messages on our older stuff,
right?
And you don't usually get contacted or anything about that because Ted's off of the internet.
Usually, by the time the next show comes on, I leave everything else alone. I figure anybody who has a question asked me already.
So catching up here, Eric Griffin says, "I Bury the Living." Another great movie, so good choice. Let's see. Hey, 3B Production Company, what is up? Nice seeing you here again, man.
Look at this.
Appreciate you guys stopping by.
Got a good group.
John Kyle Stanton, Ted, give an example of Gothic.
Gothic.
What's the Hammer horror?
Hammer horror is typically Gothic.
Vincent Price, Fall of the House of Usher is definitely 100% Gothic.
That's actually maybe even a better example. Usually there's, an old house on a hill, there's a tortured soul. Some kind of,
me.
The Vincent Price, Edgar Allan Poe, Roger Corman films, there's like 8 of those, I think.
Right.
That would all count as that. Even something more recent like Crimson Peak from Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
That was his little Gothic horror film.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually a little bit slower moving, slower burns.
Right.
The stories can vary, but usually there's it almost like they take place in Victorian times.
Right, yeah.
Something like
most
that.
of the Gothic stories
castles.
are late 1800s, somewhere around there.
It's sort of like a period of time, just like Victorian Gothic, things like that. I guess that would be my examples to use.
Okay, and Felix Raiders AK says for the 50s, House on Haunted Hill, he says, or House of Wax.
Who said that?
Felix.
Oh, well, you'd be interested to know that my runner-up was House of Wax, 1953.
Was it really?
Yes,
okay.
It is. Because even though Vincent Price had done, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, Invisible Man Returns, this one's more of like a real gutsy horror film.
Yeah.
And, he's playing a burnt old artist, and he's covering real women in wax to make his figures. And
I love the Paris Hilton remake of that.
You wouldn't even catch it.
No, I didn't.
I wouldn't hit a dead dog in the ass.
I think when I watched it, I wasn't. I watched the whole movie, and it wasn't not entertaining, but yeah, there's not much to say for that movie. But anyways, yeah.
Well, hey, even House of X has Charles Bronson in it. Before he was Charles Bronson, his name was Charles Bronsky.
Okay, let me get to my picks, 50s picks in a minute here, real quick.
Right.
Let me just catch up real quick.
Ran right over me.
Did I? Were you still going?
No, I was just saying it kind of just launched his not strictly horror career, but really got the ball rolling on his horror film career.
Okay, yeah.
After House of Wax, you had. I think you had House on Haunted Hill. You had The Fly. I mean, and it just snowballed from there. He became the horror guy.
There you go.
Because even though Vincent Price has done just about every type of movie there is, and I mean science fiction, drama, Shakespearean films, comedies, and he's very good in comedies. By the way, I've seen a couple.
Vincent Price is
historical dramas.
Very witty.
What do you always associate him with? Horror films.
Yeah.
And he was fine with that.
Yeah, no, very, very witty. Let's see. Felix says Penny Dreadful was Gothic. Yeah, had that Gothic feel. Woman in Black. Speaking of
that's another more modern one.
Recent Hammer production.
Yeah, the resurrection of Hammer, and that's actually not a bad movie. It's not on any of my picks here, but that's
Daniel
pretty good.
Radcliffe.
I didn't have a problem. I mean, that movie was suitably spooky.
Yeah.
Excellent example. I forgot to mention it.
Cool. Let's see. How are you doing, Roger? Okay, I'm trying to pick things out here. 3B Productions Company. What's your name, 3B Production? So I can call you by your name. The OG Woman in Black was rad too. I think it was made for TV. Okay, yeah, that's right. Penny Dreadful is good. Thanks, John Kyle Stanton. Felix says the Paris Hilton death scene in the remake is worth watching the whole movie. Totally agree.
I didn't see it. And at
if
this
she's
point in
going
my
to be
life,
in a movie,
I don't know if I'll waste the time.
Cut that. Okay, so let me get to my picks so we can move on to the 1960s. So the 1950s picks for me, my all-time favorite is The Creature from the Black Lagoon, 1954.
I figured you'd have it, so I didn't pick it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and again, it's not the best
That's
movie
pretty damn good.
of its time, but the acting was great. I love the creature from the Black Lagoon.
And Julie Adams just died recently.
Julie Adams,
she just died.
Very beautiful in this movie. I mean, I always go straight to the beautiful women of the older movies because I love those.
It was different, man.
It was different.
I agree.
It was different, and I love. And she was just. It just played perfectly. And the ship coming in the old lagoon there, and there's this creature. Ain't nobody else around. It's an ancient, surviving creature. But I love the movie. It's great.
Even the sequels are good because it's the same creature, and he does have an arc through the whole thing.
Gets a little bit smarter towards the end.
You feel very bad for the things that we did to it.
Yeah.
I dig all three of them.
I do too.
And
I think you need to see the sequels to appreciate it even more.
Yeah.
I mean, number one can stand alone.
Yes.
But it's always nice if you are a fan of the Creature from the Black Lagoon, watch 2 and 3
all three
because
of them are good.
Yeah, very good movies.
And I'm so glad I got to see this. There was a little revival or a restoration of the original 3D version.
Yeah.
And that movie is pretty bitchin' in 3D. I gotta say, real 3D.
3B Productions says my house is covered in Creature from the Black Lagoon stuff. That is pretty cool, man. Roger is his name. Okay, Roger. Thank you, man. I'll try to remember that. 3B Productions is Roger.
All right.
The Curse of Frankenstein and the Beast of 20,000 Fathoms says Wyatt is I. There you go. Pretty damn good.
Ray Harryhausen, his first, one of his first solo movies. He did Mighty Joe Young and then Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Vince Malley says, thanks for the welcoming, Dino. Do you think the 50s was more of a sci-fi or horror decade?
I think it's more science fiction.
This out of the 40s into the 50s, you kind of start
It's that atomic age stuff.
You start going into the whole atomic age, sci-fi, space race, everything. So you started getting giant creatures, whether they be spiders, usually insects.
Giant spiders, giant
your flying saucers started coming.
We had shrinking men.
We did have shrinking men. Atomic rays.
Yes.
The space 50s going into the 60s, totally 100% sci-fi horror. They kind of collided there. During that, those 2 decades kind of, and again. Ted knows I love that. I loved them all when
I was a kid, but when I try them again,
I love the cheesiness of the scientists explaining what's going on and everything else and stuff. But real quick, I'm trying to keep up with the chat, you guys, because I like interacting with you guys and hearing what you guys got to say.
I can't see the chat.
Lots of shots of hands reaching out. I love it. She reminds me of Brie Larson, says Ben.
Oh, no.
Oh, probably talking about Paris Hilton there, I would say there. I'll watch an old movie with Barbara Steele in it. Says Eric Griffin. Heck yeah. Big bugs in the 50s. Yep. 60. Well, we're getting there, Felix. We're getting there, Felix. You know mine, but
60s are kind of easy.
Giant insects and mole people. I think we're all caught up. John Kyle Stanton agrees the Creature from Black Lagoon is his favorite. And my runner-up for the 50s, and you guys are going to laugh, but it's them, 1954.
I was watching that long ago. It ain't bad.
It's the scientists are creating large things from rabbits, but the spiders start. Yeah, it's just a movie about giant spiders.
And James Arness in it.
Yeah, James and it's what I love about those movies during the 50s.
Out of all those types of movies, them is probably the best one.
Yeah, them is good. And I always love how there's a leading man who's always the bravado, the man's man, and the woman who's either a reporter or maybe helping out the scientist or the doctor.
You got it nailed, man.
Trying
all like that.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah, trying to, and they immediately, the leading man and that woman always very quickly kiss and are ready to get married.
Oh, yeah. Well, things happened fast back then.
Yeah, that's the way things were back then, man. I'm telling you. So that was my runner-up for the 1950s, and Ted's gonna have a heart attack.
Nah, cool.
Boom. I do have one of those things from the hospital where we can revive you. That too. So real quick, and then we'll go to 60s. Ronnie, Savage Rock and Roll, with his shirt off, I'm sure. What is going on, man? Ronnie says, for 60s Psycho, I thought them was ants.
Them was ants.
You are 100% right, Felix. What is wrong with me?
What?
It's ants, not spiders.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did say spiders.
I said, yeah, it's ants. Reverse everything I said. It's ants, not spiders. Anyways,
reverse it.
Yeah, let's move on to the 60s.
The 1960s.
1960s.
Both of mine are from 1968.
Really?
Yes. I already know what your number one is.
Fucking
so I didn't pick it.
Spiders.
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Don't need no movie like that.
This is what happens, man.
What do I think is the best horror
Don't
movie
take... Oh, anyway.
of the 60s? Has to be Night of the Living Dead.
Oh.
Because it was a huge game changer.
Yeah.
Gritty, gonzo filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we had been getting nothing but kind of like gothic horror films and Hammer films. And then all of a sudden, bam, here comes Night of the Living Dead. Everybody's got to up their game.
Oh, hell
after
yeah.
that.
And it was the start of the zombie genre. Well, but yeah.
Well, of even though I think Hammer did it first with Plague of the Zombies, where it's actually corpses coming back to life.
The modern version of what a zombie
eating
is
that I believe that's all
walking
Romero.
Slow and
the lumbering and I mean when you
even
got
though they did that back in the day too,
fighting over intestines and eating livers and stuff like that. Everyone's looking at that going, oh shit. They ain't gonna.
And can you ever?
They ain't gonna take a Dracula movie now.
Can you ever replace those? Even in the remake, they did a great job in the remake for Night of the Living Dead. Very, very well done, very close. But can you ever take away the performances by those actors in that movie?
No,
I mean, loved it, top notch. I'll never forget it. The old guy, locking himself in a basement, but
and even Dwayne Jones being the the black guy in the movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. It gives it a whole different spin because of the time period it takes.
Yep.
Even though that's not necessarily what the filmmakers intended, but it just takes it on.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can top Night of the Living Dead.
I can, but go ahead.
My runner-up, I just picked a fun movie that I really like called Witchfinder General, with Vincent Price playing a like during the witch trials. He was the interrogator. He was blessed by the church to be the interrogator,
the evil doer.
And he plays such an evil bastard. I mean, he's played bad guys before, but he's such an evil bastard in this movie.
Should have brought Halls here. I'm gonna have
I'm fine.
I need a bucket of Halls for you to.
You'd think
every week now, but,
I guess.
But Witchfinder General, yeah, you love that movie.
I
man.
do.
Yeah.
And he gets killed
Good
so horribly in the end. And it's kind of funny. It's got an
same
interesting...
as Mask of the Red Death.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it's got kind of an interesting story. Just like the director was like a young director. He didn't even want Vincent Price to be in it. He was kind of rude to him during the making of it.
How dare he?
Like, how could you be rude to Vincent Price? Like, everybody loved Vincent Price. But it ended up being, here it was called The Conqueror Worm to piggytail off the Edgar Allan Poe movies. But the actual proper title is Witchfinder General. It's just a fun movie in that vein. It's almost Hammer-ish.
Yeah.
It's about as close as Vincent Price got to a Hammer movie, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. No, good picks, Ted. John Carl Stanton, what about Psycho?
I figured Dino might pick it.
But Black Sunday, 1960, Eric Griffith says.
That's with Barbara Steele. That's the one. I saw that.
Yeah.
That's a good movie.
Felix says, I love Night of the Living Dead, but it brought on this dang zombie movie epidemic we have now. I love it, man. I love the zombies.
Just watch the first 3 that Romero did and you're good.
Roger, 3B Productions says Blood Feast.
Feast.
Another fun one, yeah, like that. Night of the Living Dead is still so creepy, says Eobard Thawne. Ben Grimm, Peeping Tom. So that gets us caught up with the chat. And
There's a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard when you got to
It
pick.
is hard.
At first, we were just going to pick one, dudes, and I said it's too hard to just pick one.
Yeah, and Felix kind of knows my number one pick here. I mean, I rant and rave about this movie all the time.
Just say the words.
Do I say it?
Mm-hmm.
With anticipation. Rosemary's Baby. Rosemary's Baby, 1968.
I do it.
Mia Farrow, Roman Polanski film. Yeah, I mean, you can watch just about every one of our videos and you'll know what I think about Rosemary's Baby.
Well, it's like the King Daddy of devil movies, almost. Almost.
Yeah,
you know?
Oh,
if it's not the king, it's the prince.
Yeah. But, I mean, other than that, just, again, the mood, the atmosphere, poor Mia Farrow, the apartment complex itself is just, the neighbors, there's so many things, that are just great about this movie that just, on top of Mia Farrow was so beautiful. This was the peak I know, Ted's like,
she's okay. She's,
Mia Farrow.
Ain't no hair to grab on.
Rosemary Baby.
Doing your work.
Oh, I love Mia Farrow. Yeah. But this movie, it's one of my... I'd have to think about it, whether it's my favorite film of all time. It might be, but that's how much I love this movie. So yeah, there you go. That's my pick, man.
Got a
Rosemary's
Criterion
Baby.
Collection Blu-ray. Man,
yeah,
so.
and my runner-up was Psycho, 1960.
See, I didn't have to pick those.
Yeah.
Because I thought, it's like, how can you say the 60s and not mention Psycho? But, I like the other two better.
Yeah, and it comes from personal taste. Everybody's got different personal taste. And, I mean, Rosemary's Baby, 100 times better than Psycho, in my opinion. But that's just me. But I love Psycho. That's my runner-up.
Psycho, to me, it's good. I love the movie.
It's a character...
But it only gets to be like a horror film until, like, the end.
Right. It's more of a kind of a mystery somewhat. I mean, you get the killing at the very beginning, but more of a crime drama type thing. And then
what the hell kind of horror film towards the end. And, you got to wade through 2 hours of movie to get to it.
It's a character development that Anthony Perkins goes through this whole movie and then continues on,
Did you ever see the sequels?
I did, yeah.
Psycho 2, I remember being actually kind of good, where they try to make him think that he's crazy again or something like that. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, poor guy,
I know,
but
Norman.
But yeah, the 1960s. There you go. Let me see what's in the chat real quick.
That's only halfway, man. We're only halfway.
Ronnie, Savage Rock and Roll. I watched Psycho with my shirt off, bro. yeah.
I watch most movies with my shirt off too, man.
Bronco, yeah. Well, you're usually in the nude, but anyway.
Yeah, in the nude.
My wife loves that film, says Roger. Bronco says Psycho is my fave. Definitely Dino, and I love my slashers, and Psycho is a slasher, says Bronco Juggalo. John Kyle Stanton says I like Psycho 2 better than the original. Okay, I can see it.
I remember Psycho 2 being pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I just don't remember all the details.
Psycho is a slasher in a sense, but
I guess if you're talking about the history of the slasher genre, Psycho would be one of the first films on the list. If it's not the first, it would be one of the first. Right.
Totally get it. Yeah. So moving on. Next decade, the 70s.
The 70s,
filled with hippies and Vietnam and what else?
HR Puffin stuff
and bell bottoms and Pepsi Cola and Dr. Pepper commercials. And,
it's the sweet one.
Dr. Pepper, ooh, be a pepper. Drink,
I'm a pepper,
Dr.
you're a pepper. Would you like to be a pepper too?
Okay, anyways. So
see, that's when you know a jingle is good, man. It's amazing. See, they don't have no commercials like that anymore.
No. Yeah. LeBron James does the Pepsi commercials now, I think.
Does he?
Oh. I don't know. Maybe.
Damn about LeBron James.
Maybe, but yeah.
Even when he was here, I didn't give a damn about
God
LeBron
damn it,
James.
yeah.
Okay.
So, your number one.
I don't know how you can judge any horror films of the 70s without just mentioning The Exorcist first off.
Okay.
Because, that's probably the king of the devil movies, and then Rosemary's Baby might be the prince. But when you think of horror movies of the 70s, there it is. Yeah, the one that caused people to pass out and lines around the block, opens up on Christmas Day.
Can I tell my story real quick for that?
Yes, please do.
Ted, and everybody's chiming in really quick with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We'll continue the talk of the 1970s horror movies. Definitely up there. But Ted picked The Exorcist as number one, and he said, yeah, people passing out, this and that. Again, if you haven't heard this story by me, I'm a kid. We're at a drive-in. The Exorcist is up on the big screen. Okay, I'm watching Linda Blair, all makeup, throwing up on the priest.
Throwing up all over the place.
My uncle's next to me. He's maybe 19 years old. Says, I can't breathe. I can't breathe, man. Gets out of the car. I'm freaking out. I'm going, what the hell? What's going on here, man? I'm freaking out, and all of a sudden, he gets out. He starts walking about 5 feet, and he collapses. He falls down. The car is filled with 3 other of my aunts. Okay, because
those stories
my grandma
tell,
had my grandmother had
BS. People passed out.
Well, there's a thing here, but my grandmother had 13 kids, so there were 3 other aunts in there, and they're all hysterical. Women who these women were getting hysterical. And they were running out of the car, freaking me out as a kid, going, what's going on? Your uncle just passed out. He's, oh my God. And I'm looking up at the screen. And
not even caring.
Linda Blair's throwing up. And I'm going, no, I was freaking out. I'm like going, holy shit, what the hell is going on? And I think they even called it, is there a doctor? So, it was a big production, Ted, for The Exorcist. I'll never forget it. Such a story, man.
That movie impacted people, huh?
And eventually he got up and he did this one other time at another movie that we went and seen at a theater, which freaked me out too. But not as much as this Exorcist thing, as The Manitou, if you guys remember. It was an older, I believe, 1970s movie. Very rare, obscure. I'm not sure how many people have seen The Manitou or The Manitou, however you say it.
Manitou.
It was some short dude with some weird forehead caveman looking thing. It's a very weird movie. But anyways, that's my story. Back to you with The Exorcist.
Hey, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. That story says it all right there. There's tons of other films. Everybody wants to mention Texas Chainsaw, but ultimately Texas Chainsaw is just some guy running around cutting people up, just killing people for whatever reason. And I do like the movie. It's just not something I really revisit anymore. Right. It's just, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just
I hear you.
But my runner-up could have very easily
Beth S., what's up? Nice to see you in the chat. Nice to see you.
Could have easily been my number one.
Yeah.
Is The Wicker Man.
I thought that would be your number one.
But, I'm just trying to think, what is the best? And it could go either way. But it's The Wicker Man. The original Wicker Man from 1973 is just awesome. And
Christopher Lee.
We have a Blu-ray of it here in the States, but just take it and fling it in the garbage. Get yourself a region-free player and get the one from the UK because it's got 3 cuts of the movie and tons of extras. The soundtrack, they actually treat their films a little bit better, I think. And
the mood and feel of Wicker Man.
We did a commentary on it. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure you know about it. It's fantastic.
Check out it.
Nothing else quite like it. Yeah. And some people might say, it's not a horror. It's not. Well, I would say it's a damn horror film when you realize that this whole island is in collusion to kill this guy.
Yeah.
So even the children.
And the horrific mood and atmosphere they give to this movie. And
the end itself, man. Just
yeah. Very, very good movie, man. I'm telling you. And real quick, John Kyle Stanton with $2 for the super chat. Thank you very much. How about The Devil's Reign? He says.
Devil's Reign.
Have you seen that?
Maybe
John,
not.
I have not seen that movie either. We should make sure you write that down.
I'll check it out.
Ted will check it out. He'll let me know.
It's in my remembery.
Yeah. So I have not seen The Devil's Reign.
The Lodger and The Devil's Reign.
But thank you very much. As
the
always,
70s had a plethora of movies, and I'm sure there's a ton I haven't seen.
Well, let me catch up real quick here. Ben Grimm does say Black Christmas.
We did a commentary on it. It's a fantastic movie. Great movie.
I'll tell my picks in a second, but this is why this is so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Black Christmas, I love that movie. And it most certainly, it might be top 3. Okay, for me. I mean, it's not one, but I'll get to that in a second. Let me catch up here real quick with my glasses on. No more food commercial jingles or scary TV movies of the week. John Kyle Stanton
That's why
says.
life's no good anymore.
Felix, 70s is super easy. The Exorcist is number 1, he said. And if it isn't, you're wrong. Ted did say that,
I
Felix.
said it.
So there you go.
Nothing else is as iconic as that, I think. So.
Eobard Thawne, 70s, just my personal favorites are Phantasm and Halloween.
See? And you picked those too. I mean,
Wyatt Is I, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Phantasm. Always really like The House That Screamed.
And I love all the Phantasm movies.
John Kyle Stanton says, thanks for the story, Ted. I'm sure that made you the man you are today. Hollywood, hands down, but that goes without saying. Runner-up, it's a bit tougher, says Bronco Juggalo. Yeah, I'm going to say my pick in a second. I'm with Bronco, says John. Jaws is my favorite 70s horror movie, says Eric Griffin. Huh, very interesting.
Scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. I've told that story plenty of times. Where watching it as the Sunday night ABC Sunday night movie and scaring the hell out of me. And my mom trying to tell me that it was just a Muppet.
Oh,
that ain't no Muppet.
That ain't no Muppet. And John Kyle's The Devil's Reign is with William Shatner. Okay. I'll go for that. Tourist Trap.
That's a early Charles Band movie. Yep, Tourist Trap.
So,
I've seen that.
As much as I've ripped on everything else, my picks are ripped on everything else for this franchise, or at least the newer movie that came out, but not necessarily ripped on it, but I guess I did a little bit. My number 1 for the 70s is Halloween 1978.
One of us had to pick it, I guess.
I mean, what can you say? It's the Halloween movie.
At the time, it was the most successful independent film ever made.
Right. And you know, one of the best slashers of all time. The first movie.
The only one you really need to watch, in my opinion.
Pretty much true.
A lot scarier if you just leave it at the end of that movie.
Pretty much true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, every Halloween.
What do you watch?
This movie is going in.
Yep.
I am watching it. I can't say that for the other movies, but that one I am watching every single Halloween.
It's like when you got to watch Charlie Brown Christmas, you know. It's
just like the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, Great Pumpkin. You got to watch those.
Hell yeah.
I get it.
So I mean, not much more to say. Everybody knows Halloween, knows the movie. That is my number 1. What can I say about your pick, Dino? You're wrong.
You're wrong.
Because The Exorcist should be 1. I don't disagree. I mean, you know, it's
We're
close,
the ones
man.
we like, man.
Yeah. And you're
I try to give it a little credence, though.
They're going to be freaked out on my runner-up.
I have no idea what.
You might even think, wow, Eraserhead, 1977.
People maybe movie to me.
People might be like, wow, scary. Damn right, it's scary, man. But Ted. Watching that movie and dissecting it from beginning to end is, don't ask me why, but for some reason I love this movie.
Well, I mean, it's very iconic. It started the midnight movie craze.
It's a very depressive, very dark, disturbing, twisted tale of this man.
I think
I love it. Yeah.
It's the most pure David Lynch film ever made. Like,
yes,
not only is it his most personal movie, it's, you know, I mean, it took him 5 years to make it.
Yeah,
paid for a lot of it himself or raised the money.
Yep,
friends helped him work on it,
and
it's a story that he wanted to tell. And if you know a little bit about David Lynch, you get a little, you can figure out where some of the stuff in the movie comes from.
Right,
but I got no problem with that pick. That's such an iconic movie.
Yeah, I mean, people may be like, wow, but yeah, I love that pick, man. Catch up really quick, and then we'll get to the 80s. And then The Exorcist is 3, Felix. Bronco Juggalo says, them's fighting words. Raiders, hey, say what you want about the Bronco. Okay. Let's see. Repossessed was better than The Exorcist.
Man.
He's joking. Halloween is my top 5 from the 70s, says Felix. Vince Malley says, any 70s horror film is always the right answer. Hey, me and Ted might, we might agree there pretty much.
There's tons of stuff in this. The 70s was huge. 60s, 70s were huge for horror.
This is where the 80s, okay? Boom! Bringing back the 80s. I mean, it's here already.
What are you going to pick, I wonder?
This is where it got a little tough for me because the 80s was packed. Horror genre, 80s, boom. I mean, there are so many iconic movies in the 80s and so many I enjoy, so many comfort horror 80s films, from TerrorVision to Brain Damage to The Stuff, many of the Basket Case, many of the things you see back here.
So you had to pick the cream.
So I had to pick what's great and one I love. So you go ahead. What's your number one film for the 80s?
The horror film of the 80s was The Shining.
Okay. I
probably the only
kind of
epic
thought you would pick
horror
that
film. Not just because it's Kubrick, but
right.
I mean, I guess what's cool about it is the
80s rule.
When you watched it when we were kids and the scenes that freaked you out, like Danny riding his little big wheel and then running smack dab into those twin girls,
yeah.
still freak you out at 45 years old or 50 years old.
Yeah.
You watch it, ooh, man.
Yeah.
And
Lady in the Bathtub.
The scenes that made it frightening and I shouldn't say frightening. I'm a grown ass man. I don't get scared of movies. But what's unsettling and creates the mood still does it for me when I watch it now. And I've seen it a multitude of times, and I've owned it on, except for Laserdisc, I've owned it I think on almost every format it's been on, starting with Beta.
John Kyle says the 80s have way too many to pick from.
It was tough, so I really just had to pick my two favorites. We've done a commentary on The Shining.
I know we say that all the time. We've done a commentary on it, but I mean we got to throw it out there because you've got an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes packed full of things that we talk about in the movie that you wouldn't get in this short, little list thing that we got going. We really dive deep into
traffic to those old videos.
We
got a lot of content up in there. There's a lot of videos.
Yeah, no, and the commentaries are packed with, I mean, those weren't short videos. Those were long videos.
No, and I always researched things and looked up stuff.
Always good stuff.
I always had stuff.
Heck yeah, man. Runner-up.
Runner-up has to be The Thing, 1982.
Okay.
Still one of my top favorite. I got it on my phone just to watch when I want to.
Yeah.
It's still one of the best horror films, and we've done a few, top 10 lists, and it's been on there. And we did our commentary on that movie too.
Yeah. Right.
But as far as the 80s, I blew my load in the first 2 years.
That was a good commentary too.
Oh yes. And anything I had great to say about The Thing back then, I said it then, and you guys all know it. I mean, it's not only are the effects good, the story's good, the music is sparse and effective. It leaves questions for you to ponder afterwards, and most horror films don't do that. So
right.
It's my picks.
Yeah, no, there you go. Very good one.
That was kind of easy.
I'll catch up really quick here in the chat. 80s Bronco Juggalo, 80s Nightmare on Elm Street he picks. Eobard Thawne, 80s Rule, hell yeah. 80s horror is easy for me, Friday the 13th Part 2. Introduction to Jason, says Felix Raiders AK. I get you. I totally 100% get you. Let's see. Hey, Ted. Just reviewed The Shining yesterday. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Eric Griffin. It's too hard to pick a favorite from the 80s. So many great 80s horror films. I love them all. Exactly. I know. Ben Grimm, Nightmare on Elm Street. It was hard to
I could have had Reanimator on here because I love that so much too.
I mean, right. Eobard Thawne, 80s is the toughest decade for me, but the Elm Street 1 or 3 and The Thing, he says. Ben Grimm says Evil Dead.
Again, it's...
Ronnie, Savage Rock and Roll, Friday the 13th Part 2 and Texas Chainsaw Part 2. Yeah, see, it's what we love, man.
Unusual Choice Part 2. A lot of people don't get the little dark comedy that goes on in that.
Wyatt Is I, The Return of the Living Dead is always a fun watch.
We love that movie.
We could do a top 10 on fun 80s movies to watch of hoarders. So, I mean, there's tons of, things you can do with movies from the 80s. John Kyle Stanton, The Thing, The Howling, Return of the Living Dead, Fright Night, Near Dark. You're saying all the ones I love. Near Dark. Near Dark is close to my heart. I love that film for emotional reasons and, just a comfort film. But it didn't make my top.
It didn't make your list. I thought that would have been on there.
Real quick,
Damn.
Beth S. says The Thing, The Shining, and Christine are my favorites. So
we're thinking alike here.
You got me coughing now.
See? You're sick.
I'm sick. So the 80s, since everybody's throwing it out there, and it's Beth's number one too. Where am I at? I gotta flip over. The 80s. My number one pick is The Thing, 1982. So there you go. It's a given. Ted had it as runner up, but I have it as number one. So not much to say except everything you said. Special effects. I love the original. It was kind of that cheesy with, we were talking about the 60s, even though it was much earlier. They had to explain their scientific methods too. They did that in the 40s too. I love The Thing. Everything about it. Kurt Russell's character. Everybody else that played in that movie is just great.
Wilford
fantastic.
Brimley and his diabetes.
I've
got diabetes.
Yeah, that thing is going to take over this here.
The cheating computer, the chess computer program.
Yeah.
Cheating bitch.
Yeah. So I don't need to, beat a dead horse again, with that. But and then my runner-up for that year, and this is more for comfort reasons. The Lost Boys, 1987.
Yes.
It's a movie. It's like The Burbs that I love for comedy. The Lost Boys are for horror for me. Like The Burbs I can put in at any given time and enjoy it over and over and over and over. Know all the lines, everything else. The Lost Boys are similar, where, in this genre, even though there was a little bit of comedy in there too, it's a comfort film for me. I love everything about it. You've got so many...
Everything?
Except Ted's... the scene he loves the most, that saxophone player, Danzig, all oiled up with Vaseline. They put Vaseline all over.
All oiled up.
Glenn Danzig, yeah. It wasn't Danzig, but
man.
Yeah, that scene, again, we did a commentary on it. During that scene, we went on and on and on about him being oiled up, and we got a kick out of it. It was funny as hell. It was...
The guy who made that movie, he's not into chicks. Because you would have put like a band with a hot chick up there. Because who goes to see these movies?
Right.
Teenage boys, and they take their girlfriends. You put some oiled up guy, someone's getting his jollies on that. I know that. Without a doubt.
The one thing in The Lost Boys that I in Corey Haim's room, the Rob Lowe we talked about this too in the commentary. The Rob Lowe poster where he's holding up his shirt and showing his. What teenage boys got that? Well, I mean, I guess there's... Okay, we'll stop right there. Okay, let's move on to... I'll look real quick at this and move on to the 90s. Let's see.
Two chief problems with The Lost Boys.
The Lost Boys and Fright Night, says Eobard Thawne. Got to watch the prequel, then the 82 film for the complete feel, says Felix, Raiders A.K.A. John Kyle Stanton says, oh yes, Monster Squad, that's right.
Love Monster Squad.
We love it. Yeah, we did a commentary on it. Everything we love is in our list of commentaries, man, our playlist. Blood Rage, Night of the Demons, The Prowler, Vince Malley, all good stuff. Let me see. Trying to get through here real quick. Oh, man, the sex player is the best part, says Eric Griffin.
Oh, God.
Felix, Dino, I heard they're going to reboot The Lost Boys with a female cast. Call it The Lost Girls. And Brie Larson is the lead. Oh, frickin' A.
Maybe that one will have a greased-up chick playing the...
Bring it on. It'll give me some banter to... No, they can't do that to The Lost Boys. No,
they can.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. The original choice was the sax player to wear a Superman sleeveless T-shirt, says John Kyle Stanton.
I'd have been a little bit happier if he had a shirt on.
Man, that's funny.
It burned into my retinas. I mean, I close my eyes and I can see it.
Beth says he's still rocking the saxophone to this day.
Oh, for God's sake.
Felix, that is so funny.
So many people OD on prescription drugs. Why can't he be one of them?
Okay, this is... Now we're getting a little bit tougher.
Here's where I had to go look at like Wikipedia at the lists of all the movies that came out
for
during
me and
those
Ted,
decades.
Yeah, everything looks good. My thing said there's a problem, but I guess we're fine. Right. This is where it got tough for us because from the 90s on, we're not a new horror kind of people, but anyways, there's some good films in the 90s.
We don't blow up the internet every time there's a new
I think horror kind of took a decline after the 80s. And started,
or at least the direction it went into wasn't where I wanted to go, and so I stayed back and stuck with what I liked. And, so 90s.
So 90s. What's your number one pick?
Without even really looking at any list, I picked Bram Stoker's Dracula. I loved that film.
You can't go wrong.
From the first moment I saw it. Mm-hmm. And I think I said I think we did a list and I mentioned
1990s.
A 92. And I love it warts and all. Keanu's not the greatest in it. I would have liked,
warts and all,
Anthony Hopkins to play it a little bit more serious.
Yeah.
But again, another definition of gothic.
Right.
Gary Oldman kills it.
Gary Oldman's great, man. Love it.
Kill it. The old school in-camera effects, because that's what they were. Old school in-camera effects were fantastic. And it sticks pretty close to the book in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
Probably more so than other films. Or other adaptations, I should say. So I have, the soundtrack, I have the making of art book. I mean, the comic book adaptation.
Yeah.
I loved it. So cool. I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. My runner-up, it was a little harder because there weren't a whole lot of horror films in the 90s that appealed to me, apart from like maybe, Army of Darkness, but I consider that more a comedy than a horror film. So I went with what we did last week, and it's like I loved watching Brain Dead or Dead Alive last week. Yeah. Just really renewed my interest in it and my love for it because I hadn't seen it in a long, long time.
More of an 80s feel, on the tail end there, but I get it.
And I actually found it's not on Blu-ray here in the States anymore. It's out of print. Mm-hmm. Peter Jackson's restoring it, but I found a pretty cheaply priced import, so that's coming to me so I can, watch it nice Blu-ray quality. So
cool.
Because who knows how long it'll take Peter to do that. So, and just the gore threshold in it and all that. I think for that time period was probably pushing it a little bit.
Yeah.
And as far as like the blood and the guts,
it
was fun. It was so much fun. A lot of times when we did commentaries, sometimes it was hard to watch the movie a second time.
Yeah.
Because I'd watched it to prepare for the show, and then we watched it again when we did the commentary. I had no problem. Watching that.
No, you were ramped up, man. You were raring to go. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were. And that's a Patreon exclusive.
Yes.
So our commentary for Dead Alive we did last week, totally up on Patreon.
But I choose the original titled
Patreon / The Late Late Horror Show. Become a Patreon now. I want to start getting contests going up there. We need a few more people to, for as little as $1, join us. Link is down below in the description too, if you want to join. Real quick before I get to mine. John Kyle says the Frog Sisters, which is funny as hell because the whole Brie Larson thing and stuff like that. Ben Grimm, In the Mouth of Madness and The Craft, good movies.
In the Mouth of Madness is excellent.
It is. It's a very good movie. Easily could be somebody's top pick, but it's up there.
It's a very good Lovecraft movie that's not based on a Lovecraft story.
Right, which a lot of that, everybody pulls shit from Lovecraft. Mm-hmm. And call, even if it's a sentence from a book, they'll say,
and most of it's crap.
Made by Lovecraft. Full Moon's big on that, but anyways.
Yeah, they are.
For the 90s popcorn, Army of Darkness is a fave of the franchise. The Exorcist 3, says John Cowstan.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, it is a very good movie.
I really like it.
Very underrated.
3. We saw that at the theater. We were going to go see a sneak preview of Lethal... Oh, no, wait. We were going to see a sneak preview of... some movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Lethal Weapon 2 or
Sounds
something like
good.
that. And it was sold out.
Uh-huh.
And so we had to buy tickets for Exorcist 3 because we wanted to go see a movie at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a good movie. I liked it.
No, I very much enjoyed that movie. That was a great one. Very underrated, yes. I will say. And then real quick, let me catch up here. John Cow says Candyman 2. Yes, of course. Well, Eobard Thawne, I'm getting to that here real quick. Beth S. too. They both say Silence of the Lambs, Tremors, Interview with the Vampire. Felix is Silence of the Lambs for the 90s. My number one pick is Silence of the Lambs, 1991. Again, this was a time in my life where I was big into crime, and I started reading books on serial kill because of my interest in the subject matter.
I'm interested in it too.
It's very the psychological horror really started to intrigue me, and at the time I was very seriously thinking of, like, you want to become an FBI agent, something like that,
criminal profiler.
This close to my brother went off and became a police officer, and he's a sergeant now in another precinct out of the city here. But something I was very intrigued in pursuing but never did. Probably glad I never did, because the world we live in. But everything about Silence of the Lambs is great. Jodie Foster's performance probably might be one of the best. She's a very good actor.
Anthony Hopkins wins Best Picture or wins Best Actor, and he's in that movie for about 7 minutes.
Right. Well, because they're so the acting and what he did in there is so.
Well, the first moment you see him, you're like, just give him the statue now. Yeah. Silence of the Lamb is just one of the greatest horror films. Psychological horror definitely might be tops. I'm not sure. Right. I'd have to think that out. But how many movies outside of a porn can you see a chick get hit in the face with jism and it's okay?
That always got me, man. I love it. But we're gonna move on here. I don't have a runner-up for the 90s. I for some reason I didn't get one, and I'm trying to think real quick here. But we'll move on to the next year. We're going
2000s.
to 2000. So from 2000 to 2010.
2010. This got tough for me, but I was able to pick out two pretty easy that I like a lot. My number one may be yours as well. Let the Right One In, 2008. Is it?
Well, yeah, we might as well just talk about it together.
Just talk about it together.
Let the Right One In, 100%.
From 2000
my number one, and
to
evidently
2010,
his too.
it's the best horror film.
Yes.
And
it's on a couple other of my lists for movies for the
just some of your favorite films and favorite horror films. And I mean, the story's great. I recommended the book. I think I shot the book over to you so you could start reading it.
It's the film that got me into foreign films, foreign horror. I mean, after I saw the Swedish, vampire movie, and I'm like, holy shit, this is totally different,
Right. The book was Swedish. I mean, the book actually was Swedish first, and they did their film version, but no other film like it before it happened.
Yeah.
And you all know the story of it, so we won't go into it, but such a great movie, and all I can say is the book is better. Everything you like about the movie, that's all in the book.
And an additional story too. Another book.
In one of his other books called Let the Old Dreams Die, it's a short stories book. There is an epilogue, a short story that takes place many years after Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
And you find out the fate of the two characters from the end.
Yeah, no, very cool. We
do both you have a runner-up for this?
I do have a runner-up for this. So
mine is from 2009. Since there's so many people want to, go back to the 80s. We got Stranger Things. They're remaking all the classic 80s movies.
Yeah.
How about we go to a movie that was doing the 80s thing before doing the 80s thing was popular again?
Okay.
And we go House of the Devil.
Oh!
2009. A movie that easily could have been
made this movie
in the 80s.
Yeah. It's got that feel.
Totally has the feel. Has the look.
Damn.
Slow burn movie. Most of you guys probably know what it's about. Even when they put it out, when they released it, they on like home video, they even had a limited edition that was a VHS tape. It's just before remaking 80s movies. I mean, I'm not going to say before, but it seems like it's a lot more popular now.
Well, right. No, they put a movie in a different era and different than they're kind of doing now.
This is the one that did it right.
Yeah.
You want to make a movie that feels like the 80s, watch Ty West's House of the Devil and learn how it's done.
Yes. That's a great pick, man. I love it.
Forgot about it? Did you forget about it?
It's not that I forgot about it. It was this close to,
Well, I'm intrigued because I don't know if there's any other good horror movies in this decade.
Yeah. Well, we both picked Let the Right One In.
Yeah.
And my runner, and I'll get to the chat in a minute here, you guys. My runner up, and shut your mouth and don't say nothing because I know how you feel, and I feel the same way. But my runner-up has to be Jeepers Creepers. It's from 2001. I love the film. I mean, it brought back a new iconic horror figure, the Creeper.
We did a commentary on that movie.
Yes, we did. And him in that truck, the characters, I was jazzed up going, wow, maybe we got something here.
Did you see the most recent one, the third one?
No, I didn't. I think we both got so stuck on the bandwagon of what this prick did.
Yeah.
He's
a child molester.
That word. And everybody said it was a piece of shit anyway. So it's like, you know what? I have number one. I enjoy number two. But number one is, I'll put it as my runner-up just because of that fact. I loved it so much. I could watch this movie over and over. I mean, I really love Jeepers Creepers.
There wasn't really another monster movie, horror movie quite like. No. I mean, yeah, that van truck, that was
killer. That was pretty.
No other movie's got that to offer. So.
No, that was pretty kick-ass.
From the mind of a child molester.
So I know. Let me very quickly catch up here and see what everybody's got to say.
What do they got to say?
Felix Raiders AK 2000s is either Martyrs or Let the Right One In. There you go. I think he's pretty on par with us, kind of. Yeah. Ben Grimm, Trick or Treat for 2000s. Good choice. Ronnie Savage Rock and Roll. This is from the article about the CW's Lost Boys show they are producing. No, we're going to get another. They're producing series, which I'm very excited about.
I'm waiting for the Swamp Thing series to drop that I heard about.
Yeah,
that's what looks good to me.
Well, I'm not sure if that's how that's going yet, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let me catch up. He seems to be the only one enchanted by Santa Carla, a sentiment he shares with a pair of local girls, the Frog Sisters. Okay. Dead End, 2003, with Lynn Shay, says Eric Griffith. Don't think I've seen that one.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's it.
American Psycho, says Beth S. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003, probably one of the best remakes. I'd agree. American Psycho, though, Beth. Yeah, that's a good one. Good pick, man. Ronnie Savage Rock and Roll. Joe Bob just did House of the Devil a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. Really pretty cool.
Good movie if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, The Real Creeper is the director, says Ronnie. Yes, he is. Jeepers Creepers is a great pick. Has an old school feel to it. Eobard Thawne. Exactly. My thoughts. Felix, have either of you watched Martyrs from 2008? It's a great film.
I know what it's about.
Yeah.
This is what I'm kind of talking about. I know exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
But
I haven't seen it. It's on my list to watch because it's highly praised. I don't like films where people perform acts of cruelty on each other. Right. Yeah.
For what reasons that aren't, kind of like.
Yeah, we're.
I can deal with a vampire biting a person, but not with people just killing people or torturing people.
Right.
And I've read the synopsis and everything because I keep up on all this stuff and I know what the movie's about.
Yeah.
There's it's originally a French film. They did remake it in the States as well, or there's an English language version as well. But it's probably just not where I like to go. So those kinds of films I don't really watch. But it's not that I'm ignorant of it. I know exactly what it is.
Right.
I know what my taste is, and
we're different kind of horror fans.
If it doesn't have the things that I mentioned earlier, I usually won't even bother because there's just nothing there that appeals to me.
Yeah, I started getting...
But I know some people really dig that kind of film. And
the Saw franchise is another one, torture porn.
And I certainly know that it's supposed to be, a quality made film, at least, I'm mostly referring to the French version, I think. But, it's just that type of thing doesn't really appeal to me.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Same here. Mm-hmm. We're kind of we love horror, but in a different way. We love good story. We love atmosphere.
Maybe I like my horror to be a little bit more safe.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I know Frankenstein and Dracula is not going to come get me, but some creepy religious people might.
Bronco Juggalo says, this is hard. The Collector, The Conjuring, Devil's Rejects, Freddy vs. Jason is my pick, though. Okay. John Kyle Stanton says The Strangers. Bronco, of course, says I hated Jeepers Creepers, and I didn't even know about Silva at the time. Mm-hmm. Bronco, you got different tastes.
Neither really did I until we were about to do the movie, and I started reading up on it.
Give Polanski a pass for same stuff, Ben Grimm says. Yeah, it's a sad world we live in, but
at least he knows if he steps foot in this country again, he's still going to get arrested, I think.
But right? Yeah. So let's move on.
He hightailed it out of here.
Let's get to the last decade, which is 2010 to the present.
So what worthy horror films have there been?
I've given a lot of shit to a lot of stuff in this past decade.
We've lost subscribers to some of the things
we've lost subscribers to people.
Hey, but you know what?
Shit is all in fun.
Shit is shit. And
Ted,
sometimes we just make fun of stuff just because you guys are gushing all over it. And
we rip on shit for many different reasons. But anyways, what's your number one pick?
My number one.
Let's see if it's the same as mine.
It won't be.
No? Okay.
But it's not only my top pick for this part of the decade.
Is it The Meg?
No. But it's also one of my favorite horror films, and I think it's one of the best horror films, at least from 2000 on.
Yeah.
If this was just from 2000 on, this still would have been my number one pick.
Okay.
2013, The Lords of Salem by Rob Zombie.
Wow.
It's his best film. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes.
But
I sat through that thing. Go ahead.
This was the only film he's made, as far as I know, with me, where he was given complete freedom. Here's the money, do the movie you want to make. There is no director's cut of this movie. Whereas I think except maybe his most recent, that 31, almost all his other movies either have a director's cut or there's some rumor of a director's cut. This film's got echoes of David Lynch, Dario Argento. If you've seen The Devils by Ken Russell. Yeah. None of you have seen The Devils by Ken Russell. But
they might have.
But there's echoes of all that.
Talking to horror fans out there.
It's got a style unlike any of his other movies. It doesn't have his usual redneck trash-talking characters. The actors are there for the most part, but not the characters. It's more mature. Yeah. The story, the witches. I really love everything about this, and this is my idea of a modern horror film that I really like.
Okay.
It shows a maturity in his filmmaking that everybody will say, "Oh, Devil's Rejects." Okay, yeah. I mean, if you need to hear the F word every other word, fine. But and all these crazy ass loony characters, but and that's fine. I like Devil's Rejects too. Right. Yeah, me too. But this showed some restraint and some style. Mm-hmm. And I really dug the story. I liked the questions left over at the end. Mm-hmm. It felt like something out of the 70s. It felt like it belonged there. I know it's not his popular film, but I'll defend it till the cows come home. And I think real horror fans that know some of these movies that I'm talking about, the David Lynch fans, Dario Argento watching the Italian giallos, you're going to know what I'm talking about and you're going to agree with me. So there might be one of you out there.
Okay.
My runner-up is a 2011 movie. I don't think it even came out in theaters. This was created by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. It's called The Whisperer in Darkness.
I remember you talking about this, yeah.
This is... so many movies get made about H.P. Lovecraft or by H.P. Lovecraft. Well, these guys actually take the real stories and do their best to adapt them.
Right.
And this is done. I don't know if there's a place where you guys could find this to watch it without having to pay for it.
Yeah.
So, but they really do a good job of bringing the story to life, and embellishing where it needs to be embellishing or modernizing where it needs to be modernized. But it just feels like a Lovecraft story. They've also done The Call of Cthulhu, and they did it as like a silent film.
Okay.
And they used some stop motion for the creature that you just see a little bit of at the end. And I think their versions of H.P. Lovecraft films are the ones that really get to the true... Because he's very hard to film if you've read his stories.
Yeah.
You get it if you read his stories. You know what I'm talking about. But that was a very cool adaptation. Some of the effects are a little dodgy, but I mean, it's it's not a studio film. So Whisper in Darkness, a great example of H.P. Lovecraft done correctly.
Okay. So before I get to the chat,
Yeah,
I
what
will
are they-
say my picks,
All right.
and then we'll wind it up and check what you guys got to say, and see what you guys' picks were for this last decade here. But my number one pick, and we were relentless on this before the movie came out.
Yeah.
Remember all the hate and stuff? I think we were getting some slack for the whole
which
remaking It 2017.
You picked that movie?
I picked that movie.
You picked it. You're just playing to the crowd.
No, what? Ted, I'm playing to the crowd.
You're playing to the crowd.
Me?
I will say the trailer for
how
the
much
second one.
Shit, I give it. It looks pretty good.
It is what it is. I mean, it does look. Some of the scenes they showed looked okay.
Listen,
I'll see it.
For this decade here, bringing back the movie, which done in the 80s wasn't done the best, even though I liked it, but it's very dated. And
it's just a hard book to adapt. It's just such a huge book,
but again, all the
and
characters,
a loved book, I guess.
Yeah, all the characters did a great job. I may have had some issues with Pennywise.
That really is the big thing.
I know.
If they could have just made the clown a little more friendly looking,
right,
which would actually entice the children to come a little closer.
No, I agree 100%.
If I'm walking down the street and I see that thing, I ain't getting nowhere near it. I'm halfway to Montana.
I know.
No. So,
but see,
that's what the miniseries did correctly.
Yeah.
But
it's a tough.
All
decade
the other things they did wrong.
Ted, it's a tough decade for us because we don't see.
It's all shit.
I could have said A Quiet Place too, but I mean,
I didn't see it.
You need to see A Quiet Place.
Is it gothic?
No.
Uh-oh.
But okay.
Is it supernatural?
So it 2017. It is a very good film. It's my pick, and my runner-up is It Follows from 2014.
Still didn't see that yet either. I got it saved in my
queue.
queue.
You have got to see that.
I know what it's about. I
could have easily flipped these two also.
That's supposed to be a damn good movie, and I haven't gotten around to watching it.
It's a damn good movie.
I think it's on Netflix.
It's refreshing to see them do something different. And the tall guy in this film just freaked me out every time he appeared.
I got it saved. I got to watch that.
But since Ted hasn't seen it, I'm not going to say a whole lot except that I really dug everything that he did. And there's a movie that this guy just did that didn't get released at the theaters or anything else, but was a very, watch me not be able to find it. Oh, Under the Silver Lake. Under the Silver Lake. It's not horror, but it's in the realm of It Follows. It's the same guy. And it's very out there, very weird. I'd say give that movie a shot. I saw it on Amazon Prime. But there you go. That's a movie. But those are my two movies. Rounding out the decade, that's it. It did progressively get a little bit harder.
Yes, it did. The
last couple decades that we did. But those are our favorites. Let me look at the chat real quick and see what everybody else had to say. Let's see. Ted, why that movie is so boring and made no sense and not scary at all, and the ending just scratching and waiting go away. I'm not even sure what you were talking about. So, see, I'm trying to catch up now. John Kyle Stanton says Ghostbusters 2016. Oh, my Lord. That's all I'll say, John
scary.
Kyle. It was a scary movie, yeah. I saw The Devil, says Ben Grimm. Let's see. It's not horror, and I don't want to. Okay, Beth S. I don't watch a lot of modern horror, so I would say my faves from this past decade are A Quiet Place. I agree. Gerald's Game, and Bone Tomahawk. Yeah, very good pick. So yeah, those. Ben Grimm, new It better than old It. I have to give it a yes. As much as I have.
It's hard because there's things about both.
Yeah, I loved him.
Tim Curry.
Tim Curry.
I think the clown was closer to what I imagine in the book.
And
I like the 50s setting because that's what was in the book.
Yes. But they did it much better in the newer adaptation in 2017.
There's some things that were better. I mean, it's just an adaptation.
It's tough.
You know, maybe when the second one comes out, you know what might be interesting is they take all the deleted footage, put it all in, and just make one big 4-hour movie out of it.
Right.
And let me just see the whole thing flow and see how it is.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what you do with the miniseries now. You watch it and it just flows.
Well, I'm curious how.
Instead of waiting 2 years in between.
I'm curious on the second movie to Chapter 2 to see how close it is to the story of the book when it comes to the.
We'll see if it has the gangbang scene in it.
Pennywise. Well, even Pennywise itself, but yes, Dino, I love It Follows, says John Kyle Stanton. Yes, don't waste your time on It Follows, Ted. Sorry, Dino. Bronco. Okay, I'm not gonna say nothing. Yeah, we all got. Our own
I can
taste.
watch it for free, so
we all got our own taste. How can you not like It
But
Follows?
I'll tell you what,
Bronco?
though, I will usually.
Yikes, man! It Follows.
I give a movie 45
fantastic.
minutes. And if you don't have me interested in 45 minutes, I don't care what movie it is, I will turn it off.
You'll be interested in the first 10 minutes.
Well, see, and that's good to know.
But
that's how it is. I don't watch a movie for an hour and then go, oh, the last hour is really good. I don't waste my time.
Felix says Halloween 2018 is pure poop emojis.
Well, then how come everybody was calling it the bee's knees when the second coming of Christ Almighty when it came out?
Yep.
I called it before it came out.
Reviews from the Beyond. Under the Silver Lake was all over the place, but it was good. Totally agree. It was all over the place. It was very odd, weird, strange, but
what type of film is it?
Very good.
Is it a drama or?
It's like kind of a crime. It's similar. It's got a David Lynch kind of style to it. It's very weird and dude's interested in numerical. It's odd. It's hard to even explain, but let's see real quick. It Follows is cool. Also like Summer of '84. Totally agree. I loved Summer of '84. It was great. Another synth 80s type Stranger Things vibe to it. Everybody says that it's similar to Rear Window in ways, but I never saw that. I don't get the whole Rear Window thing. But anyways,
I didn't see Rear Window.
Felix, Train to Busan. Yes, that foreign zombie film, Under the Shadow, A Ghost Story. All great movies. Ronnie, Behind the Mask. Felix again, Autopsy of Jane Doe is amazing. Once again, Bronco says It Follows was so boring I fell asleep in the first 10 minutes. I had to watch it again and still bored the crap out of me. Not to mention it just was a PSA for anti-sex.
Uh-oh.
Totally disagree, Bronco.
No sex?
No.
What about masturbation?
Public service announcement for.
I like masturbation. No. Sex with someone I love.
Because the disease or whatever was spread.
Right. I remember reading that.
So, anyways, you guys, wow, this was the longest one we've done in a while. It's about 2 hours.
Didn't anybody on there agree about Lords of Salem? I'm the only person in the world. Well, F it all.
No, I'm pretty sure a lot of those people enjoy Lords of Salem too. But
it's the best.
So
matter of fact, I might watch it tomorrow.
I want to say thanks to everybody. Thank you guys who donated super chats.
And there's some good movies in there I haven't seen. So there's a couple for sure I want to check out.
And again, join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Down below, the link is there. Me and Ted wanted to start
a cup of coffee.
Getting stuff, going on there and contests and stuff like that and having fun. So
some good naked fun.
Do that. Yeah, I mean, thank you all for joining us. I think next week we are going to do something a little bit different that isn't horror related, and hopefully you guys will still enjoy it a bit. What are we going to do, Ted?
It's actually my sister kind of came up with an idea. She said, how about top TV shows that either had really good endings, or we could talk about ones that had crappy endings.
I think we'll talk both.
Yeah, so
since the Game of Thrones thing is going on, it harkened me back to Sopranos.
And I haven't seen the end, and I won't for a while, so nobody spoil it.
Yeah, don't spoil it. Yeah,
someone's gonna spoil it for me.
No, I'm reading the chat, so I won't, say.
But evidently, it's caused some controversy. Some people dig it, some people don't. And,
yeah, they ruined it.
But isn't that how it is with every show? Kind of,
Yeah.
You always got.
But that's
how do you end a beloved show?
But that's the show for next week, I think. Every now and then we veer off of horror and do something different. 80% is horror on the channel, but we veer off. And that's what we're going to do next week. Good and bad endings. We'll be talking about the Seinfeld finale show.
All lots of stuff. There was the Ash versus Evil Dead. There was X-Files. I mean, there were
plenty to even Fringe. If you guys have seen the J.J. Abrams fantastic show, which should have gone on more. But anyways, there you go, guys. Love you to death. I'm going to end this here. Late Horror Show. Peace out, people.